Next up, we're talking to Duane Inglin. You've heard him on Northwest Wild Country Radio on KGR 950 in Seattle. He's a fishing guide, a pro staffer for Potski, Feather Sticks, and Riftech drift boats, and one of the organizers of the 1,000 Fishermen March group on Facebook. And Duane is absolutely passionate about a management plan the Washington Department of Fish and Wildlife is putting together for Grays Harbor in southwest Washington and several of the tributaries there that host returns of salmon and steelhead. Duane, is there a problem right now as it stands with the fisheries in Grays Harbor and some of the rivers like the Satsup and the Wainuchi?
Absolutely. And the number one issue year in, year out is overharvest. Overharvest by the tribal fishermen, overharvest by the non-tribal commercial gillnet fleet, and also a lack of production in some regards of hatchery production. So it's a two-pronged approach. The basis of what we need to push for to the commission is first and foremost, we need to get rid of gillnets throughout that basin, but we need to get rid of gillnets really throughout the state. And that's the huge elephant. So we'll take it piece by piece. Let's focus on getting the commercial, non-tribal commercial gillnet fleet out of Grays Harbor. And then let's focus on where it's appropriate based on biological studies to increase hatchery production. And then third component, obviously the state has to do a better job working with the co-managers to get the Quinaults back to the table and lay it out there on what is not acceptable relative to past practice. Too much harvest going on. We haven't met escapement 8 out of the last 12 years on many of those rivers and tributaries, and that's a huge issue.
So the Quinaults, for those that don't know, that's a tribe on the Olympic Peninsula, and they harvest quite a bit of fish using gill nets. But I've got to ask you, I mean, there's some smart guys in the Department of Fish and Wildlife, and I understand, just like that there's anglers groups that are lobbying for a piece of the pie, that there's also lobbying by commercial gill netters and by tribal interests. But doesn't the Department of Fish and Wildlife, can't they see through the lobbying and just look at the science? Why can't they do the right thing without our help?
Well, I think you nailed it on the head. It's lobbying. As much as it happens and as frustrating it is, a lot of votes are bought. And the direction that the department goes year after year, they try to cater to all user groups. And they sit in the meetings and they try to appease all user groups. But in today's modern society, when you can look at, solid science and numbers and all the formulas they run to understand numbers of fish returning and how to divvy up the pie, we're not getting any better at it when we harvest right down to the very last fish.
Yeah.
They have an issue with allowing fish to go past and on up to spawn natural on gravel. And any hatchery fish that make it past a commercial fleet that is available to harvest, in some regards is held as foregone opportunity, is a term thrown around by the tribal members. Commercial guys look at it as dollars lost. It comes down to dollars and cents. And if there's hatchery fish that get past the commercial fleet and the sporties do not harvest 100% of those and they end up in the hatchery beyond what's needed for egg take, then it's wasted opportunity. And that hasn't shown to be a good past practice or a good mentality to approach this, because when you're harvesting those hatchery fish, you're also harvesting those native fish that we need desperately to get up onto the gravel and spawn.
Right.
And so by removing those out of the equation, that is the failure point in how we are not able to achieve escapement needs year after year.
So once again, anglers need to take a stand. I understand there's a meeting coming up in a couple of weeks. Where's it at and what time, so that people can show up and lend a voice?
Everybody needs to go to the WDFW webpage. So they need to go to the Fish and Wildlife Commission page.
Okay.
Now, currently, if you go there, it'll refer to the agenda on January 10th and 11th, and it's not yet been posted. That's not a big deal. We know where to access the information. More than likely, the Grays Harbor issue will be discussed on the morning of January 11th. We're just waiting for the exact time and also the location. I honestly believe, John, we're going to have upwards of 300 sports anglers that will attend this meeting.
Wow.
Word has gotten out on Facebook. Social media is a wonderful thing. It helps us to expedite this type of thing. Last time we had about a week, we rallied about 130 people, down in Olympia, and the commission was a little overwhelmed by the presence of so many sport anglers. That being said, sometime in the morning of January 11th, location to be determined, because they know already going into this they're going to need a bigger venue. We'll show up in force, and a handful of folks will sign up to speak in opposition to the current management strategy and the plan that they are proposing. And we're looking for people to get on board and get educated, understand, again, the process, and know that the main goals are let's get those non-tribal commercial gill nets out of Grays Harbor. Let's increase hatchery production. And that's just, that's a good starting point. We do have the commission's ear. They listened to us at the last meeting. I've received some feedback from various folks who are kind of up high and dealing with this stuff on a regular basis, that there is movement in trying to get these the gill netters, the non-tribal gill netters, out of Grays Harbor. So we're heading in the right direction. We just need to continue to have a presence in front of the commission.
All right, so there you go, folks. It's January 10th and 11th. Those are the meeting dates. Go to the WDFW website and go to the commission page to find out more exactly where and when it's going to take place. Duane, thanks for getting the word out about this important issue. As an angler, I appreciate it.
Thanks for giving me the time, John. Everybody go to Facebook, look on a 1,000 Fishermen March, and also go to Sportsman for Change. Sportsman for Change is a bunch of folks rallying and sharing similar ideas of how to approach these issues in Washington State. Hope to get a lot of folks out. John, thanks again for having me on. It's been a pleasure.